عند الله خايف منا نيراني يا نور العين يا قاسي.
نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد رسوله النبي الأمين المكين الحنين الكريم الرؤوف الرحيم. أما بعد. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear brothers and sisters, our today's topic is Islam and history of Western embryology. This is again a very significant scientific topic through which we will try to conduct a scientific historical study of Islam in comparative perspective with the history of Western embryology. The main theme which I would like to elaborate through this lecture is that the science of embryology, which developed in the West, has a specific history, and many realities were not revealed in the Western science of embryology when Holy Quran declared the facts about the embryological development, which were verified and testified and known to the Western science of embryology in these centuries. First of all, the meanings of embryology I would like to explain so that it may be understood clearly. Embryology is a science of study of developing human in the womb of mother from 2nd week till the end of 7th week. This is the period of embryo. Embryo is the developing human, and embryo come into existence in the 2nd week, not in the first. The first week is the process of fertilization, and that is the drop stage of nutfa. It starts, existence of embryo starts from 2nd week and goes till the end of 7th week or 8th week. So the study of the development of human being in the womb of mother from 2nd week till the end of 7th week, this study is known as science of embryology. So we will have a comparative study of Western history of embryology with Islam. Briefly speaking, the first man who spoke about embryology in the history of mankind was Hippocrates in the period of Greeks. So this man was in the 5th century before Christ. He just gave some ideas of embryology and nothing solid. The second man in the Greek period was Aristotle. In 4th century BC, he wrote the first treatise on embryology, and Aristotle promoted an idea about the development of embryo. This is a very significant point. Aristotle gave the idea that embryo forms as a result of the union of semen with menstrual blood of the woman. According to Aristotle, when the sperm or semen of man unites with the menstrual blood, so out of menstrual blood the embryo come into existence. This was an absolutely wrong idea which was rebutted, but this idea of embryology was given by Aristotle. So this was the ancient science of embryology. Then comes the period of 15th century. Here no significant development was made, and during these periods up till from 4th century before Christ till 15th century after Christ, there was no specific development in West or Western science of criminology, embryology. There was no specific development. Then came the age of microscope. It is in 17th century that microscopic studies started in the field of embryology. So, the first man who conducted the microscopic studies on the embryo was Harvey in 1651. He conducted the study on chick embryo. Second man was de Graaf in 1672. He conducted microscopic study on rabbit's uterus. The third man was Malpighi. He conducted the study in 1675 on hen's egg and developed another idea which came before in the form of pre-formation theory, and said that miniature, a full-fledged miniature is in ovum, and in ovum the embryo is completely preformed. There is no development in case of embryo. This was also a wrong idea which was afterward rebutted, but Malpighi gave this idea. Then in 1677 Hemleuven, he gave the idea of the same pre-formation theory, and he was the first man who conducted the microscopic study on human sperm, and he said that the whole embryo and miniature, the complete form does exist in the sperm of the man. So according to his theory, again there was no idea of development in embryo. This was wrong idea, rebutted afterwards, but given by Hemleuven. Then in 1759 Wolf came. He proposed the layer concept instead of pre-formation theory, and at this stage this was discovered that embryo neither exists and neither is formed in the ovum, nor the embryo is formed in the sperm, but for the purpose of the embryo the combination of sperm and ovum is necessary. So both sperm and ovum are necessary for the formation of embryo. This idea was discovered in 1775 by Spallanzani. This was the embryologist, the first man who discovered the idea that the sperm and ovum both are necessary for embryo. Then in 1827 von Baer, he introduced the idea of dividing zygotes, and then in 1839 Schleiden and Schwann, they introduced the cell theory, the idea of cell and then the division of the cell. Then in 1878 Fleming introduced the existence of chromosomes, and in 1883 von Bennett, he introduced the idea of meiosis division. Then from 1912, our present century, till 1959 until now, the studies of human chromosomes up till the studies of Down syndromes were conducted. And in this historical development process, right from the period of Greek till today, this is the history of Western embryology, going from wrong decisions and alterations and amendments. Now conducting a comparative study of the Western embryology with Islamic and Quranic statements of embryology. 3 or 4 things are very significant. Number 1, regarding the origin of embryo. before Islam and before promulgation of Islam and before the raising of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And afterwards, long time after the promulgation of Islam, this was believed in Western embryology that the origin of embryo is menstrual blood. The blood of menstruation is the origin of embryo. It was Islam, it was the Holy Quran, it was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam 1400 years before, when there was no microscope, when there was no science of embryology in regular form, when there was no scientific investigations. An ummi having divine revelation coming out of the cave of Hira with the Quranic revelations came to the mankind and stated that origin of embryo is not the menstrual blood, but origin of the embryo is the germinal fluids of male and female. This thing was testified by the modern embryology centuries afterward, but for the first time in the history of mankind, this embryological reality and fact was declared by Holy Quran and by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through his hadith. Second thing was the preformation theory. Up till the middle of 18th century, very significant thing, it was believed that the miniature form does exist, or the preformed embryo does exist either in ovum of the mother or in the sperm of the father, even in the ovum of female or in the sperm of the male. The miniature preformed embryo does exist. So there is no concept of the development of embryo. There is no concept of the developmental stages of embryo in the womb of mother. This thing was considered and accepted and believed till the middle of 18th century in Western criminology. And on the other hand, 1400 years before, this idea existed in Western criminology, we will say 1 or 2 centuries before. But 14 centuries before, Islam declared that neither the miniature or embryo does exist in the ovum of female, nor the embryo and miniature does exist in the sperm of male. This idea is wrong. Islam declared 14 centuries before that there is a regular developmental process of the embryo. Embryo comes into existence by the combination of the germinal fluids from male side and from female side, the combination of germinal cells. And after this combination, there is a process of development in the embryo. Various stages of embryological development were mentioned in Holy Quran. So this was declared by Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Islam, saying, ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاهُ نُطْفَةً فِي قَرَارٍ مَكِينٍ. We created man from a quintessence, gentle extraction of clay. We then placed him as a drop, nutfa, in a place of rest, firmly fixed. Then we made the drop into an alaqa, leech-like. And then we changed the leech-like structure into a mudgha, chewed lump, substance. Then we made out of that mudgha, bones, skeletal system. And then we clothed the skeletal system with flesh, the muscles. And then we develop out of him another creation. So Islam declared 14 centuries before that embryo undergoes a regular developmental process. The third thing was that some of the Western embryologists thought that the embryo exists in sperm. Others thought embryo exists in ovum. Islam rejected this exclusive idea and stated no, neither embryo is exclusive towards male side, nor embryo is exclusive towards female side, but it is biparental. It is combination of sperm and ovum. So these misconceptions and misunderstandings and wrong ideas were rejected and rebutted first time in the history of mankind by Islam through the statements of Holy Quran and through the statements of the traditions of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And thus it has been verified by the modern Western embryologists that those realities which we are coming to know today have been mentioned with accuracy 1400 years before through the divine revelation of Quran. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ.